Hello everyone, welcome back to Intellect Insight. In today's video, we are going to implement simple to-do list web application using blockchain technology. So without wasting further time, let's start. As usual, as I've used in my previous video as well, as an ID, VS Code is there and runtime environment is Node.js. In case if you don't have it in your ID, and I'm going to put a link in my video's description so you can easily follow those steps, and then later you can follow from this point, and it will be very easy. As I've already implemented the code, I'm going to just explain because I already implemented those specific code blocks in my previous videos as well, so it doesn't make sense to repeat again and again. So it's better approach to just explain, right? In order for us to create a project in Node.js environment, what we are going to do, because in this case it's a bit different, we are going to create a web application which you can run on any browser, right? So that's why first we create a project like this. I'm going to, yeah, so npx create react app, then your app name is here. You can keep name as per your preference. Then we are going to change directory path to that folder, and then we are going to start the server. Okay, so how we are going to do that? So just press enter, and it is asking we need to install these packages, so proceed with yes, and that's it. See, it has created project for us and we are inside that directory as we have done cd my blockchain app, right? So that's that. So as we can see, it's compiled successfully, and we can see all the files for us to be able to implement that practically is here. And once you run that, it will show something like this. This is the initial app.js version of this practical. Later we are going to change that file so we can create our own web application using blockchain. Okay, so this is the file inside src folder. You can see here everything is here which you are seeing on this page. Localhost 3000, this is the default port for running the web app using React, right? So I've already implemented the code for you guys, so I'm going to simply just copy and paste. Instead of this, it's here. Okay, now first, without running the practical, we are going to see the meaning of each and every line, right? As I've already explained many of these line of codes in my previous videos, so if you haven't watched those videos, then I would highly recommend first go and check out those videos. It will be easier for you guys to be able to understand this specific experiment, right, which we are doing in order for someone to create a web application using blockchain. Yes, it's very secure, and at the same time you can modify this code as per your business requirement. For example, if you are running a garage or some other businesses too, you can make necessary changes in this code, and it will be very easy and you are almost good to go. So without wasting time, let's start directly. So we are first importing necessary components. Then here you can see SHA-256 hash function using web crypto API. So what this function is doing is, whatever message we are passing, this line is encoding those messages. Then we are going to hash those bytes using SHA-256 algorithm. The message which we have passed here, it is here. Then we are converting array buffer to byte array, and then convert each individual byte to hex string and join all to form full hex hash, right? Later, as we have already discussed, we are going to create one block. This block will be useful when we are entering data. Let's say if I am entering data at index 0, it is going to consider as a one block. Second data, second block. So how actually it should be structured. So here is the constructor with index 0 1 2 3. At what time we have created that block is timestamp. Data which we are passing in our case is whatever the message, because our application is to-do list, like, right? Then here it is previous hash to be able to connect current block with the previous block. This is the previous hash which is allowing us to connect current block with the previous block. This is the function for calculate the hash of this block based on its content, right? So here we are creating hash from index, previous hash, timestamp and serialized data which we are passing, and this function will give hash value which will be very unique per entry, right? Here using that block we are going to create class blockchain. Here as well you can see there is a constructor. This chain is array which is holding all blocks in the chain. Then we are going to initialize genesis block, which I've already explained in my previous video. This is the logic for add block. There might be very minor changes, but it's not that significant that you won't be able to understand if you have already watched my previous videos. This is for update block, right? So let me just explain this function, because how we are updating is, first we are going to pass index. So we need to ask the system that this is the position means index and new data. Like for example, if you have entered xyz and now you want to add xyy, then xyy is new data which we need to pass here. Okay, so it's that. Now this condition is for genesis block. For example, genesis block is the block which is the first block of blockchain, so we cannot simply update that genesis block because it is the main engine of blockchain, you can consider like that. Then we are going to simply assign new data to that specific index, and we are going to recalculate previous hash and hash for this block and all after it, because any single change in a block will update the hash value of that specific block. And in blockchain every block is connected with the next one and the previous one, so any change in hash we need to make sure that that specific hash value of current block should be assigned to the previous as well as next block as well, so all can be stay connected. Now this is for delete a block and update indices of previous hash and hashes for all subsequent blocks, right? So here we are doing the same. In order for us to remove the block at specify index, for example, here you can see chain splice, we are going to make a splice of that specific chain and then we can remove that specific block from in between, and we are going to again make sure that our updated hash value, and we are going to make sure the hash value of current block is assigned or is connected with the previous block. You understand? So here we are link previous hash so it can stay connected. Then when you press clear chain, that means keep only genesis block and rest of the blocks will be removed. And this is the similar function for is chain valid. So here what we are doing is, in case if someone try to tamper the data, in that case if we run this function is chain valid, it will answer us yes or no. In case if someone is tampered with data, it will return no. Based on what thing? So here in individual block, as we have just seen, we are calculating based on this 4 parameter: index, timestamp, data and previous hash, right? So any change in any specific parameter, for example data, timestamp, index or anything, it is going to change the hash value of that specific block, and we can know whether that block is valid or not, right? So this is what we are doing. Here, right? So here what we are doing is we are recalculating the hash if there is any change. Then here you can see our React functional component for the UI, like whatever we are going to see on the screen, it is here. So in React it's like this. So this is for blockchain instance, this is for array for rendering. Okay, this is the input field where we are going to enter our input, then edit and valid chain, right? Because we need to make sure whether our chain is valid or not at every entry. So this is the component mount. As soon as your screen loads, so it is going to initialize blockchain with Genesis block. How we are doing it? Here you can see we are creating instance of this class and we are simply initializing, and you control and left click you can do, and you can easily see that function of Genesis block which we are creating, right? So that's that. And where it is, yeah, it's here. And then simply we are going to assign that blockchain instance in state, right? Like this. We are also going to load initial chain, right, which is Genesis. And here we are checking whether chain is valid or not. If it's valid, then yes. If it's not valid, then it will return no. And we are going to set this value to here, and wherever we want to use that thing, we are going to simply use this variable, because this one in React will be used for setting the value, and this one is we can use that specific value in order for us to show something, right? So it's that. And here are the rest of the function. This is the add task. Okay, in order for us to add data, it's here. So first we are going to ignore empty input. In case if user is entering nothing and still pressing submit button, then we need to validate that. Okay, in case if edit index is not null, then in that case we are going to update block with whatever value user is entering, else we need to create new block with new task. Here is start edit. So same, we are going to allow user to edit the data whatever they have entered. But for example, if you are entering at first hand XYZ and then you are pressing enter, then in that case we need to autofill that specific field, which I am going to show you in a while what I am talking about. Then so here we are doing that. So load current task data into the input field as soon as user press edit button, so they can obviously edit the information. Here we are deleting a block by index. In order for us to delete a block, we simply need to call that function inside blockchain and it will delete. And then we are simply just assigning null value to individual stats. This edit index, this input, set input, because once you delete that specific block, we need to show user that it's gone, right? And to be able to understand that, that input field needs to be empty again, so it's clear input. And then again set valid chain, whether the chain is valid or not. After every operation we are doing that. You can see here delete task, set valid chain, here clear all, still we are doing valid chain. So here simply we are just calling the functions inside blockchain. Okay, and this return is for the UI purposes. It's simply the designing part. Like here I've assigned border, background color and stuff. Here is edit button, here is the delete button, timestamp and everything. You can customize this as well. It's nothing like very difficult. So that's why I've decided to just explain briefly, because most of the functions I've already explained in my previous videos, so it doesn't make sense to make 40-minute video again, right? So here simply we are just calling those functions inside blockchain, and this for designing part, this return. Okay, so this like this. And now I'm going to show you exit output, what we are going to see, right? Here it is. You see, you will see something like this as soon as you run your code. This one is Genesis block, which is the first block of the blockchain. So for example, I am an owner of a grocery store and I want to keep a record of inventory which I have in my store. And in that case, I am simply going to enter details of those items in this to-do list, and it will be stored very securely and no one can tamper this data, because if someone will do it, you can easily validate it with blockchain is valid or not, and we can identify as well that where data has been changed. Okay, so simply what we can do is cookies, right? Cookies, I would say 50 pieces. Simply just press add button and you can see this block 1 cookies is the value, timestamp is this, and hash value is this. Okay, for example, now you would like to enter chocolates 100 piece, simply add data. Okay, here you can see blockchain is valid because no one changed the any value, right? Now I'm going to edit this specific information. You can see here that automatically that value has been filled, which I was talking about in the code where we have set input, right? So it's this. Now simply we are going to change it, update. Okay, so it changed. And if you would like to delete, and in that case you can simply go and delete this. Okay, it's easy as that. I am the owner, so I can edit the data and any information, but in case someone is trying to tamper with the data, then they are going to be identified by this hash value. You can see here it is going to be changed if we are changing the data. You can observe right now it is something like this, right? DCBD89B5523. I'm going to enter data, update. You see it changed. Any change I'm making in the value, it is going to change the hash value of that specific block. Okay, so it is like this. These changes which we are making, edit and stuff, it's all legal. But in case some hacker or someone is trying to mess with the data in a way that it not supposed to be, then in that case hash value will be changed and we can identify. So that's it guys, I hope this video will be helpful to you and you got some sort of value from this video. If answer is yes, then do let me know in the comment section below, because it is very helpful for me to be able to improve the way I deliver my content to you guys. And that's it. So keep learning, keep hustling. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.